Against All Enemies by Richard Clarke. So this is something I've been doing with these scripted book reviews, is going back through my archives to make videos out of book reviews I've done in the past. A lot of these political ones are dated now. So this is kind of something I reviewed leading up to the 2004 election. I don't know if you remember this book. This is one of those books which was really big news in the news. Kind of like, I don't know, that Michael Wolff book, Fire and Fury, was a few months ago, where everyone was talking about it. And kind of, I don't know if, I guess all that publicity must kind of increase the sales. Although I usually tend to think, if I'm kind of watching the news or I've been reading the news, I don't need to actually buy the book, right? Because you kind of get all the main takeaways from just kind of all the chatting in the news. But then I saw it in the bookstore and I bought it anyways. I was kind of making an effort to get other people to go out and buy the book themselves. So this is what I wrote at the time. The other book I read was Richard Clarke's Against All Enemies, which really needs no introduction because it's been one of the most talked about books of the year. One of the most talked about, but probably one of the least read. I mean, who do you know who has actually sat down and read that book? Now, I might have been inferring my own predilections here, because I think it was a bestseller, so somebody must have been reading it. But I tended to get the impression that most people were just kind of watching the news reports of the book and not bothering to actually kind of go out and buy it. Plus, I know many Republicans who are refusing to read it on principle, and then there are a lot of liberals who are thinking to themselves, I already know Bush is an idiot. I don't need this book to prove it to me. Besides, I know the general gist of it because it's been all over the news. And this is true, it has been all over the news, but it is rather shocking when you actually sit down and read the whole book. Richard Clarke makes some very serious charges about how George Bush has bungled the war on terrorism and made America less safe. Now, I know Clarke's credibility has been attacked since this book came out, but I think, given the charges he makes, this book deserves to be given consideration. And plus, in this election, the 2004 election, Bush is essentially running on his record on 9/11 and national security. And Dick Cheney has even been implying that if John Kerry gets elected, it means we're going to have another terrorist attack. So I think if anyone is planning on voting for Bush for these national security reasons, then you would do well to actually take the time to sit down and read this book before marking your ballot.